Welcome to another episode of the APL Spotlight Series. Incredible guests the world over with amazing insights, experiences, and really just here to share high vibe with all of us. We're super fortunate to have Marilynn Hughes back on. She's been a guest, I'm going to say at least 3 to 4 or 5 times, especially Mind Body Spirit panels with Paul Sugar, I believe, and Dr. Elaine Yoshikawa. They're all in Arizona. She's in Arizona right now. She's a prolific author. I mean, over 100 books. Mystic in the traditional sense, super knowledgeable when it comes to world religions, cultures, and more. And also, she's the founder of the Out of Body Travel Foundation. If you look on Facebook, for example, Out of Body Travel Foundation, more than 1 million followers there, super knowledgeable, but also has to walk the fine balance because it's not always about up here. And so she has a really big heart, and that's what she's here to share today. She's great to ask questions of. So if this is a live show, this would be perfect for the audience to be able to step up and ask her questions. Marilyn, great to have you back on. Great to see you again. How are you?
Great to see you too. Yeah, I'm doing great, and it's great to see you as well.
Oh, we got a chance to chat for an extended time before the show, so I'm super excited that that happened. And then you're here, and this is like having a walking encyclopedia Britannica with us slash meets guru, big-hearted guru. Let's try to do the trillion-dollar question first. We've got a lot of stuff happening in the Middle East, but a lot of stuff happening all over the globe with leadership, whether at the local level, regional level, country level. And there seems to be something up. Instead of there being peace, happiness breaking out all over the planet, it seems to be more complexity, more deep details, and might we even say more missiles, unfortunately. What's going on for humanity right now? What's happening?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of this stuff I was shown in the 1990s, and I was shown the exact dates that we're living in, and I was shown that we were going to go through these major upheavals. Um, Unfortunately, we are living through some version of apocalyptic times, you know what I mean? And what happens during times like these when everything is being overturned in a sense, in every sense of the word and all around us, is that many structures, many belief systems, uh, many foundations are being overturned. They're being challenged. They're being broken to pieces. And so what we're looking at is a destructive process, which, we don't really know where it's going to lead. But these destructive processes happen not as infrequently as we like to say. We see them pretty, not as infrequently as we like to pretend. But on the level that we're seeing it, it is less frequent. And what will happen as a result of this is the opportunity for a restoration. And this restoration, that when that time comes, when everything has been shattered, when things have been leveled, so to speak, and I'm talking about this in an energetic sense, but we are seeing it also in the physical world. When that leveling has occurred, humanity, each individual, but every person and all of these structures, and that means governments, that means uh, peoples, continents, we all will have choices to make that will determine, are we moving more towards the light or more towards darkness? And that is still to be determined how this will end up playing out. Is this going to be a destruction that will reap something that will be utilized for good? Or is it something that is going to continue to reap evil? And so we're in a very precarious time. where there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of danger, a lot of people um, are in jeopardy. There's a lot of people who are losing their lives. There's a lot of people who are going to lose their uh, the things that they need, their sustenance, the things they need to continue to live. And we don't know exactly how far it's going to go. The visions that I had in the 1990s indicated that starting in 2027, so we haven't seen it yet. We haven't even begun. Starting in 2027 to 2031, we would be seeing a period where this period between that time would then determine how things would go after. And so this period is so important because humanity can choose so many different things. And part of the problem right now that we have, and it's very difficult to really explain this to people in simple terms, so I'm not even going to try. But part of the problem that we have is we have so many peoples who believe that they are right, and they are unquestionably believing that they are right. And we have some whom are, and some who are not, and some who are a little bit of both. But all of the people believe that they are right. And they believe so wholeheartedly and so self-righteously that there isn't room for actual real restoration at this time because of the inability of the masses of humanity to actually discern what is good and what is evil. And so, ironically, what you are seeing, and this, for those who are familiar with, my teachings and what I've taught about in terms of what I was taught, because they're not really my teachings, the things that I was taught about the path of purification that we are all here to follow, which is the purification of the good and evil elements within ourselves and in our world. It all goes back to this because of the complete neglect of the spirit and the spiritual path of humanity. We have the masses who believe they have the truth, and they have not even begun to seek the truth. They have no idea what the truth is at all. Not at all. And I'm getting completely slammed with energy as I am saying this. They have no idea. They have not even begun the path they must follow, which is internal, it is interior, where they have to actually purify themselves. And they have to go through this process where they actually learn to discern between good and evil. And this process requires all of us to develop the ability to recognize that not only can each of us be wrong, but we can be deadly wrong. And that we have to be willing to see things as they are through the eyes of God, not through our own eyes just alone. Our eyes are flawed, and it is our arrogance and our pride that prevents us from seeing the truth. And so we have all these people who believe they know the truth, and they believe they're right, and they are deadly wrong. And part of the problem is if you have a complete society and a world that does not do the spiritual work, you are in a precarious situation. You can't even begin. You can't even begin because they cannot hear you. They cannot hear the truth. They cannot hear the voice of God in the stillness of the night. They cannot be corrected by anyone else, but certainly not even by God Himself, because they have all made themselves little gods, because they believe in their own righteousness to the point that they cannot be corrected. And when people believe themselves to be right to that degree, what happens? They fight each other. They can do nothing else because you cannot have resolution, you cannot have communication, you cannot have um, any kind of reconciliation unless both sides are capable of conversation and the actual real recognition that you might be wrong, that you might be seeing something incorrectly, and that you need to listen to the other people too. You have to listen to each other. And people don't do that right now. And this inability to listen, and it goes, this causes these these battles that cannot stop the raging.
Mm.
They will not stop the raging if people are incapable of saying, well, wait a minute, let me try to just sit down a minute and see if I understand their position. I want to know what their position is. Even if I don't agree with it, I want to understand what their position is and respect what their position is, even if I don't agree with it.
You've opened up so much here. I'd like to do three short questions, and we're going to circle back to each and every one if we need to for longer in just a second. The first one, I want to give two quotes, one from an archangel, one from angels. I've done these quotes a lot out of 500 tapings. I'd say probably I've mentioned these quotes maybe 50, 60 times over the years. And so the first is from Archangel Gabriel. If more people
Okay.
would listen, less conflict would result in any given situation. And the second is from a group of angels. There is no right or wrong. There is proper understanding. So I'm going to leave it with that and have your reaction come in on both quotes. But I would say, what is that proper understanding? There is no right or wrong. There is proper understanding. What is that proper understanding before we jump to the next question? We'll circle back to anything you want after that.
Well, the proper understanding, both of those quotes are excellent because those are very true. But the proper understanding is recognizing that no conflict can be solved unless you try to understand the we what I was told years ago was it is not your job to be understood. It is your job to be understanding. And so I was instructed repeatedly every time I was trying to be understood. It was, no, 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 that's not what we're here for. We want you to learn how to be understanding. And so we have a world which consists of hundreds and thousands of little worlds. There's tribes that live in the jungles that have never had, access to the outside world. We have, the cultures that we have in all the different countries, and they're all their own little world. If we are incapable of understanding that the perspective that we have, even in our own country, there are different cultures in every part of the country. If we are incapable of listening to the other and understanding the perspective from where they come. And the other has to also do the same. They have to be willing to do the same. They also have to be willing to uh, let things go. And this is one of the things that you definitely have seen that is a much bigger problem now, which is that people have lost the sense of forgiveness
Hmm.
and letting things go. And it's like, which is, oh, well, I can see why they misunderstood that and they didn't mean that. And so I'm not going to hold on to that. But what you see a lot more of is you did that, and I'm never going to get past it,
Hmm.
ever. This kind of stuff. And this is extreme levels of uh, not doing any of the spiritual work. you know, you have to have some basic spiritual training, some basic spiritual cultivation. Part of the path of cultivation, a huge part of the path of purification and cultivation, is learning to forgive the other. And part of the way that we do this is by realizing how much forgiveness we ourselves need. And so that's part of the reason we, in the out of body travel experiences, we are shown the things, the parts of ourselves that remain in the darkness, so that we can purify those things, that we are shown the things that we might believe that are actually false, that are actually not true, but we think they are, so that we can change those views and the things that we can start working to overcome those things and bring them to the light. But if we do not do this work, this spiritual work, and what we have seen is as a major mass, and what we're seeing even in countries where there are great religions, the spiritual work is not being done. People are doing their religion, but they're not doing the spiritual work, even though the spiritual work is absolutely a part of each of those religions. They're just not doing it. And so what's happening is people are twisting the beliefs of their faiths to allow for hatred, intolerance, and um, an me versus them, rather than the understanding of e pluribus unum, which is out of the many, one. We are all one. And all of these paths come together into the one path. And that was the origination that came from, it's on our money. And that was, from the founding fathers of our country. They wanted us to understand out of the many, one. And that is actually what I have been instructed in my experiences, which is even with the religious views, the religious paths, that we bring one another together. We are all following the same God. We are following different religious paths, and I'm sure that there are some people who would have different things to say about that. But the reality is there's one God. And so if you understand that, then you must respect any other believer um, who is practicing their faith in a respectful way. And that doesn't mean a violent way. So what's happening is uh, people have twisted religion into political view instead of the path of purification, which all religion was founded upon. All religion is founded upon this path of purification, which every single human soul must go through. and no one's doing it because everyone, not just in our country, but in other countries, have secularized themselves because we have so much technology and everything. And everybody has walked away from the interior solitary path, which must be followed for a person to actually go through these processes where humility will emerge enough that people can uh, come out of that and wish to do something different. And so we have a whole lot of things going on. And of course, I want to just do my little disclaimer, which is, I'm not a political theorist. I know mystical theology and out-of-body travel, and so that's my specialty. So, but there are some thoughts I can throw out.
Well, again, that was a lot, and we're going to come back to a lot of that as well. For example, a quick reaction, we're discovering in a country that's one of the larger countries and one of the larger cultures in the world that dominates everything, we're discovering that a lot of religious organizations are more political in their existence and more Machiavellian than we would have ever suspected. And that's just something that is coming to light. I had two quotes for you that I'd love to get your reaction to. We did have two more questions, though, that I want to just put out there now that we can get quick reactions to, and then we'll go back to the big picture. One question
Okay.
is, what time period, and we're not going to answer it just yet, what time period going back to maybe the 60s, Kennedy's assassination, to now reminds you of the momentous turbulence that we're going into as we speak? Is there another moment? And the other is your background. I'd love for people to hear out of body travel, how much you've been exposed to around the universe, galaxies, interdimensional beings of all different types, religious, cultural, and so on. But the two quotes first. These are fun. One's Netflix. I don't remember which film from 10 years ago, but when Netflix was like new. In the end, love is what shows us life and different colors. There's one quote. And the other is 1977, Star Wars. Obi-Wan Kenobi's talking to Luke at the very beginning, probably in his little dwelling on whatever the planet was that was desert-like. Luke, you're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend on your own point of view. Quick reaction on either of those. In the end, love is what shows us life in different colors, or the Obi-Wan Kenobi quote. What's a quick reaction on those?
Well, definitely love is what shows us life in color. And you'll see that in the out-of-body travel state because one of the things that you are shown immediately is you go into these different higher and finer frequencies of vibration, and it's all about the higher and finer frequencies of love. And it is all about you see these different colors,
Mm.
and when we experience that on Earth, that's what happens, right? We experience how love brings out these different shades of experience for us in the physical reality. Um, so yes, that's absolutely true.
Which time period? Now, I'm 58, and you've obviously you're just, just leaving the 20s. But which time period, if you had to guess, does this resonate most with? Would it be sort of Cuban Missile Crisis, Kennedy assassination time period, something more recent, Afghanistan invasion?
I think that it's hard to say. And part of the reason I would say that is because I think it's different. And the reason I think it's different is because of the visions that I've had about it for so many years, starting in the 90s. And and I had a ton of visions about it as this is like a pivotal moment in human history. And so I do think it's different than any of those things. I mean, you can certainly compare it maybe a little bit to the Cuban Missile Crisis in that we're teetering on the edge of World War III. And I do think that we're already kind of in a world war and have been even before the latest things that are going on. But I think that this has bigger ramifications, and not just only because of my own experiences, which were really significant in the 90s about this time. But then, because I had those experiences, I did some research. And, so did Pope John the 23rd. He had specific visions about the period of time from 2028 to 2032, which is just off by 1 year. And then there's the prophecies of the popes from St. Malachi, which comes up to the exact same period of time, which I believe is the 2027 to 2031. And these are, of course, are things I didn't know anything about. I became Catholic in the year 2000, so I didn't know any of these things. And so then then you hear about like all the prophecies that we heard about at Fatima. Our Lady of Fatima warned us about what was coming with Russia in 1917. And so then, there were a whole lot of Marian apparitions, including Our Lady of Zaytun that you and I talked about, I
In
think, before the
Egypt.
show. Yes. And there were many other apparitions that were referencing this period of time. There was the visions that Saint Padre Pio had about the 3 days of darkness, and the visions that Our Lady of Garabandal about this potential period of time. And so, and there are others. There are others because I don't remember them all, and there are other modern day mystics, for instance, Father Michel Rodrigue, who is a Benedictine monk and abbot who has been having visions about this period of time. I think he started having them in the early 2000s, and his period of time started, I think, in around the things he was shown were starting around 2020 and forward. I do not know the exact dates, but he had very, very intensive experiences, and there are others. There's another modern day mystic who is a stigmatist. I believe her name is Maria. It might be Maria Luz, but I don't remember the name exactly. But she is present and also having visions about this time. And there are other Catholic mystics who are having visions about what's going on right now. I do think that right now is unique. And as to why it's so unique, I'm not totally certain. But I do think that it has to do with the fact that we will be teetering on a new civilization. And it could be a very, very harrowing time for all of us who are alive on the planet. It's possible that it could be very, very harrowing. I don't really know. And then the big question will be, how will we come out of it? And a lot of things, what this does, it makes you realize how important all your decisions are, who you vote for, because every decision that you make like that, you're voting for a direction, a direction that the world will go. And
Or not voting anymore.
well, yeah, not
If
voting
if you're
anymore.
looking at corruption across the board and no party's free of it, it might be that, including the voting machines themselves. Not that we do politics on the channel, but there might not be any choices to take for a
Well,
while.
yeah, and I'm not going to endorse that option just because I think people need to make the choice. They need to be involved in making a choice in terms of the direction they go.
Yeah.
In because we're all part of that, and there's a reason why we're all incarnate here at this time, and that's it's one of the things that I have repeatedly been shown, and I've heard other people who have experiences like this have said that it is an honor to be incarnate on the earth during this time. And, and it's kind of like, like, really? Because we're all like, really? Do we really want to go through this? But in some respects, you're talking about the times. I'd say World War II is probably more similar to the times. You think about what kind of period of time that was. And I think what, Pope Pius XII went through and how he had to really, finagle the Third Reich and how we were teetering on what could have happened if it had gone the other way. And you know, and I'm not sure how much people know about, these things, but the kinds of things that, like Pope Pius XII, actually saved over 800,000 Jews by moving them through the Vatican and getting them baptismal certificates. But he had to be very careful and not say anything publicly. And people have accused him of being like pro-Nazi because he realized that whenever he spoke, people would get murdered. And so he did things very, very quietly, but he saved, according to the Jewish leaders of the time, he saved more Jews than any other person on the planet. He saved about 800,000 through Vatican City. And so you think about, these kinds of things and how um, that time was like so pivotal for so many people because um, it was a true battle between good and evil. And if it had gone the other way, the world would have been lost in a way that we can't even fathom, right? And so we are teetering in that way as well. And I cannot even say that I understand, all the forces uh, in terms of, how it's all working out or how it should work out because I don't. Like I said, I know mystical theology, but I can say that I understand that this is like a really important um, turn in history, and it could go either way, and it's extremely, extremely uh, so dependent on the the individual work that people choose to do in their spiritual development. It's people do not realize, they say, oh, I can't do anything. I can't, blah, blah, blah. You know, the reality is we've come to this point in great part because so many people have lost the spiritual spark and they have abandoned the path of, the path of spiritual purification, but the path of the spirit. And when a single soul goes and takes that torch, they take the torch and they say, I'm going to do the work of the earthly realm, which is the path of purification. You are doing something that impacts the entire realm. And you don't even realize it. You don't, no, I'm just doing this. It's kind of a selfish action. No, it isn't. Because every single soul that does the interior work and brings their soul forward and upward brings the momentum upward of the entire realm. And the reason why we are losing that is because we do not have that momentum. It is the quiet, silent, hidden souls that hold up the world. You go back to the Old Testament, you remember the stories. Will you save the city for 5 souls? And God said yes for five virtuous souls. God said yes. we forget that doing the work of the soul actually has great importance for the realm. And I know that's really hard for people to fathom. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
We need Stephen Pressfield here with Do the Work. He always talks about this he's not talking what we're talking about, but he pretty much is. It's apply yourself, it's in daily decision making or allowing with a capital A. And I want to not make light of this, but in another sense, I absolutely want to make light of it. Personally, in the last year or two, but it's been going on for a little longer, culturally in America, there's so many fronts without getting into the details, but I used to work in public relations, so I think I peaked out at setting up 1,100 plus media interviews in 1 year as a public relations guy doing business press, put people on CNN, front page of the Wall Street Journal. Love those media outlets back when media outlets were media outlets. Today, I'm unplugged from all news channels because if you find enough topics, or an assassination or anything else, and you start to watch news coverage at one level where the reporting by other sources is completely different, and you start to see, whoa, the job's not getting done anymore on the news reporting, or we can pick anything else. Political parties, voting machines compromised. It's pharmaceuticals or this or that or anything else. There's so many areas in which there's expansion to be had, growth to be had.
Mhm.
Maybe checking out of the details a little less. It would be like learning that your favorite baseball team was doing a lot of steroids and it's not cool with you. And you're like, well, I'll watch other teams or I'll enjoy baseball without paying attention to my team so much. You have a chance to lighten up a little. And I was going somewhere with this.
Okay.
Um, I wanted to give you three different examples that popped up and have you tie them together, and how
All
this is an
right.
opportunity for those who want to pay attention to their heart, grace, slowing down, less details, less complexity, more love, compassion, kindness. First example is, I think it's Elizabeth April. Did I say her name right? She's an Instagram figure, remote viewer, potentially intuitive, but she's sharing a moment with another adult in the room with her child who must be under 5, putting marbles in the baby's hand, and the child says one marble, two marbles, two, three marbles, three, two adults watching, four marbles, four, fifth marble goes in, the child says four, not 5. And the adults are at 5, the kids at 4. There's 4 marbles, a split like Matrix with the cat, a split in reality. The second example is from Celestine Prophecy, the movie. We just taped Barnett Bain, his episode comes out in June, I think. Hollywood film director. He did Eckhart Tolle's film Milton's Secret, School Bullying with Mia Kushner and Donald Sutherland. But he also was totally involved with Celestine Prophecy. There's a moment where the good guys are in the jungles of whatever Latin American country trying to evade the soldiers. There's like a revolution going on. And they raise their frequency so much they turn invisible. The soldiers go right by them. And so there's a split again. The third example is from Cynthia Sue Larson, who does the Mandela effect, and she's wonderful on the Galactic Front and other stuff. It's not Mandela, it's Mandela, like Nelson Mandela. I get everything wrong. Um, she mentions it's one of her husband and wife writes into her newsletter, and they share the following ER story. They're at home. The husband has an accident, bleeding. They get the ambulance. They got to go to the ER. They know how this ER is. It's jam-packed 24/7, always busy. They get there, the two nicest paramedics, smoothest ride, two nurses, nicest. Every stall is empty. And the time goes by, 4 hours later, he's either stitched up, fixed up, it doesn't matter. They leave. They never saw a soul, but the nurses are like, this place is packed. And the paramedics are straddling the two realities. They got in, they got out, time flew by. He got addressed. To them, the stalls were empty. They had the smoothest, highest vibrational path possible, but the place was packed. And somehow I hear this is all possible and maybe one of those things happening for mankind somehow, somewhere. Is there a theme in there somewhere of vibrational reality splitting a little bit? Anything like that that you'd want to touch on, or did this spark anything else?
Um,
It's a big question.
yeah. Okay.
Time not quite being the same. I can name, there's Paul Sugar, who you know, who's talked about maybe time not being as linear in the future as it is today or as it was 5 years ago. That's interesting. Now, I'm not sophisticated enough to say any more as to how he reflected it, but can you touch upon how you roll here may very well impact your experiences and even the timelines collectively and stuff like that?
Well, definitely your experiences are impacted by that. You can definitely have a different experience of something based on, where you're generating from. And if you're generating from the heart, your experience can be different than what appears to be going on all around you. And in the mystical realms, in the out-of-body travel spaces, you can enter into a space called timelessness, where time is completely not existent, it's irrelevant. And so, yes, time can be altered or changed, or you can have, you can experience a different parallel reality than another person going through the same thing. That can happen. And so, yes, that can happen.
Well, let's back up first and have you cover a little bit more about your background because Mystic, you've had experiences from childhood and then later when you were like 27, 29, coming back strongly out of body experiences. You teach out of body travel. Again, you've got a foundation for that with over 1 million followers, well over 1 million followers on Facebook. 100 plus books. It might be 134. I've lost track. You'll explain some of this if you could just dot the I's and cross the T's for us about your background. And then, if you don't mind sharing some of your experiences interdimensionally, galactically, or just meeting well-known religious figures on the other side, is the way I'll put it.
Sure. So, yeah, my background, I founded the Out of Body Travel Foundation in 2003. My first books were released in 91 and 92. I have 144 books now, and and we are doing a film series now based on my first book, Mysteries of the Redemption, Treatise on Out of Body Travel and Mysticism. It's called All the Winds of Heaven. And we just released a couple of new books, The Little Blue Nun and The Sutra of the Ounce of the Vow for the Creatures of the Earth. And so those are available. So if you go to the website, it's at outofbodytravel.org. I had my first experience that was very profound at the age of 9. And I was given it was very, very profound. It was one of those things where the clouds were billowing before me and they opened wide, and there was a marble staircase in front of me with angels on each side. And then the Lord God and Jesus Christ were at the top. And then I had an extensive experience where they talked to me about how um, I was going to have a purpose later in life, and that my job was to make it was basically to make sure that awareness was it was about awareness and spiritual awareness. The cross was on fire. I had to put the fire out and make sure that awareness would not be burned down in the world, so to speak. But when I was 22, I started having spontaneous experiences out of the body, and I journaled and I started writing about it, and I started realizing there were very clear paths and very clear things that people would go through, stages of development that could be clearly explained so that people would understand what they were going through. And so I do that in my books and also now in our films. And we have documentary films as well on our YouTube channel, but also we're doing the feature film series as well. So I've been having these out of body experiences now for 40 years, over 40 years, and thousands of them. And I was led early on to study the ancient sacred texts of the prophets, saints, mystics, sages, and ascetics from all world religions throughout time. And I was taken to all of these experiences with many of them and told exactly what to study and when and where and what to look for. And I was given a lot of very specific direction in those studies that led me to the writing of all these different books and all these different things. And I've had, thousands of experiences to, things like crystal forests and cities of light,
Hmm.
the city of the New Jerusalem and the Palace of Ancient Knowledge, which is the library of the ancient sacred texts in the city of the New Jerusalem, which has 6 floors, and it's all in white and golden gilded, and all of the texts that have ever been, all the sacred texts that have ever been written on the earth and in the galactic heavens are kept there. And so you'll see that there's books and there's scrolls and there's all these amazing things that are, it's just very, very holy. Um, and I've had, you know, literally hundreds of experiences with, saints and mystics and sages and, you know, and with Jesus and with Mary and with the Buddha. And um, just in terms of thinking of the Buddha right off the top of my head, I remember this one beautiful experience I had with him where I was taken to this place and it was just all white energy. And he took me into the energies of wonderment, devotion, and humility. And he was just hovering in his meditative posture, and I joined him. And it was, this vibration and frequency of wonderment, devotion, and humility. And in that space, I took in that vibration, and it was so intensely beautiful and powerful. And a lot of these experiences, that's what you're doing. You're taking in these vibrations of certain qualities of the spirit, certain qualities that are sometimes virtues and sometimes qualities like wonderment. Um, but a great deal of the path is, generating humility so that you can be taught, you can be teachable. But much of my journey began with a lot of past life uh, journeys where I was taken into past lives. And then I went through the initiations into the mysteries and the rites of passage, where I saw all kinds of things. I went through the initiations into the crucifixion, into the Star of Bethlehem, into the Native American mysteries. I met with the elementals of the earth and the elementals of the ether. I went through all the pyramidal initiations in ancient Egypt, and I got to see the actual golden sphinx, the living sphinx, and I got to see the mysteries of the sphinx. But I had to go through rites of passage to pass through those before I could do that. Um, and after I passed through those, I had to go through what were called the ascension rituals of passage to reach the level of the ascension. And that was all contained within my first book. So that was 143 books ago. And so that was, the first book. And so then subsequently after each of the books would be another movement into another sphere of energy, another sphere of knowledge. And so, um, I was taken into a great deal of different things, so I learned a lot about the mystical captivity and the solitary road, fragrance mysticism, um, and so much more. Did I?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm gonna try to share three or two little anecdotes because I kind of come at it from like a first or second grade level. I was worried about meeting Buddha for a couple of years. Just, I was thinking it's going to be a really big deal, which it is. And I'm walking through a Target, and I don't know if anybody remembers a Target in America, but there's cardboard, beautiful cardboard signs hanging from the ceiling. And so like there's a book section in every Target. And so it's an orange book that was Buddha's voice talking to me as I'm walking down an aisle. And it took away all the worried about, the moment of meeting Buddha the first time. Now, I use a different figure these days. It's this for Buddha. And if you don't mind catching an incense from an East Asian temple right now, a Buddhist temple, if you don't mind catching an incense smell in the air, we don't have to light anything. We'll light some sage in a little bit. Let us know when you get a little bit of incense. And so I didn't freak out. I didn't run out of the store. That was one quick story. The second is I got invited to a Sri Shirdi Sai Baba temple in Austin, Texas. Beautiful place. But I got there early, and the couple that's European, half something else, just so I don't out anybody. I get there early. The Volvo hasn't arrived. Everyone's asking me, do I need help? I'm sitting on a bench and everyone's coming up. Are you lost? Do you need help? It was awesome. And then they arrive and then a car pulls up and a totally different car and another couple gets out. And the two women hadn't seen each other in years. They went to school in another country together, might be affiliated with the country of Sri Shirdi Sai Baba, and they caught up. They reunited. And it turns out that the mom of the new stranger who had just gotten out of the car unexpectedly does listening on behalf of Sri Shirdi Sai Baba. So people, classic, maybe medium or psychic, as we would describe it, they would come to her with their situation, their problems in life. She would listen, get Sri Shirdi Sai Baba's answers. But I got to tie this back to Celestine prophecy, where they show energy between their fingers. In India, they do it this way. So it's a very weird, full circle cultural thing. We got into talking about energy. We're showing energy this way. I did what I do, helping that woman, the stranger in the car, uh, listen, see, and feel. And her husband, who no one had met before that day, had just decided spirituality was okay. He was nervous before, rejecting it. Now he's completely neutral. Helped him listen and meet Sri Shirdi Sai Baba. We went to go see across the street. Other people had seen him directly across the street. We had to switch to the sky, and I'm getting somewhere with this. We're looking at a big cloud, and I normally stay out of it all the way. Sri Shirdi Sai Baba came in and removed the cloud for him, so his jaw dropped. There's a huge cloud there one moment, it's gone the next, and he had what he needed to go, oh, and then pay attention. I'm with him, and I saw it, and I was like, what? And I had forgotten this story till you were talking about all this. And so I guess let's go super simple on this. Does the universe have a way to reach each and every one of us at our level, which mine, maybe it's kindergarten level. But how do we say yes to the universe? How do we say yes to being here more love, compassion, kindness, gentleness, letting go of the details? What's give us a little hope or inspirational talk here. How is it always easier than we think it is?
Well, ironically, this kind of goes back to my current book that I just released, The Sutra of the Ounce, which is about kind of about that. And so if you don't mind, I'm just going to read to you from it.
Please do.
Let me just find
And after this, though, I'd love to put up Buddha, Mary, Sri Shirdi Sai Baba, and then I'll call her Jaguar Mama. Jaguar Spirit isn't giving her enough oomph, but Jaguar herself in a little bit. Let's have you read your passage, and then if you don't mind doing some listening for us all with messages to everything we've been talking about today, we'll have, because you're wildly intuitive, able to listen, see, feel, and remote view and out of body. In a way, it's all big letting go with a capital L and a capital G and being here. Read us your passage, but tell us the name of the book again. And can we get it on Amazon, or it's really out of body travelfoundation.org is your
You can get it on
grandson?
Amazon. Yeah, they're
Okay.
available on Amazon. The Sutra of the ounce of the vow for the creatures of the earth. I'm just grabbing kind of trying to grab a spot that might respond to you and what you're asking. An ounce is enough. An ounce of attention, an ounce of restraint before harm, an ounce of mercy before judgment. Do not wait to be vast. Small vows carried daily outweigh great promises abandoned. The earth is not a possession, but a participant. Mountains practice patience. Trees practice generosity. Oceans practice grief without bitterness. You who walk upright are asked only to practice remembering.
Will you put the cover up for a good 10 seconds for people? Oh, lovely. I love that cover. Gorgeous. Okay, I am going to put up four photos. There's a chance a fifth figure sneaks in, and we've covered a lot, but at the same time, I'm not going to do Buddha first. I'm going to do Mary. I'm going to show classic Mary's photo. People who need it, if you're from Ireland, you have to have Big Mary this way. I know this for a fact now. Here's the classic Mary,
Yeah.
and
The
if you,
Immaculate Heart.
yeah,
That's
if
the
you could
Immaculate Heart of Mary.
lock
Yes.
her in, I'm going to do a modern one just because I'm always looking for shiny, sparkly. Uh, Here's, I call her Modern Mary. I'm borrowing someone's photo, but it's okay. Just picture a happy modern Mary. What is her message for us all? And I'll buy a little time because you're already connecting, but she's love. Mary is. She's everything we need. If we all had her faith and trust, there'd be no more need for fear or worry. Three Native American chiefs said that about this big Mary right here. And what are you getting for all of us to reassure us in these turbulent times? Oh, and a good public service announcement for the rest of us, the audience. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. And what has Marilyn Hughes said that you've already related to? You're like, yes, either I'll have what she's having or I agree. If you're shy, an emoji counts. If you caught that temple incense when we talked about it, put that down. You're helping other people see the show.
What I sense is, purity of thought, purity of intention, purity of action, purity of restraint, purity, purity across the board goes a long way.
I like it. I'll do Shirdi Sai Baba. I have a colorized photo. This is the gentleman, not the one recently, in more the orange outfit and the bigger hair. This is the one from like 1910, 1912, 100 plus years ago. Here's a
Yeah.
great colorized photo. He'll move for a lot of people. In this photo, a blink, a smile, your brain says, I didn't see it. Your heart goes, oh my God, do that again. And if anybody does want to catch an Indian temple incense smell or hear those musical metal things that make music in the wind that hang, chimes or whatever they're called, hear that at your own end and get a touch on the shoulder or a blessing if you're going crazy and wild right now. Marilyn, what have you got from Sri Shirdi Sai Baba for us all?
You are free. You are free. Fly freely so that the spirit wind may lead you away from the mass confusion, the mass retain. And it is there that the clarity will be attainable to you.
That was like poetry. That was really nice. Here's Buddha. It's again an image. But it works. And then he'll come in, and if people want to see him from 18 to 35 years of age with their eyes shut, if you want to see a field first or a temple, he'll show his way. Breathe, relax, no triota, let go. If you need to ask angels to get you out of your head into your heart, it's got to be your way. Like Burger King in the 1980s, have it your way. And what's Buddha's reminder for us all?
Let go of your attachment to your own views. Allow yourself to be receptive to new ideas. Allow yourself to receive the wisdom of others.
Another home run, this time the leather's off the ball. The ball's over the stadium wall into the parking lot, and the poor kid collecting balls is not going to want this one. It's beaten up. That was a good hit. Uh, three Jaguar mamas. It's the same Jaguar mama, Jaguar Spirit. She's big, but I've got three different photos of her with three different messages, if you don't mind. Here's the first one. I don't know what to call it. Jaguar, very centered. What do you,
Ah,
and if you want to put a hand out off camera and feel the wiry short fur opposite of the tiger on the wall here, that's Durga, Mother Divine, Divine Mother's ride. That's soft shampooed fur for sure, right there. This is the opposite. She's a little tougher, but she can be a sweetie. What are you getting from Jaguar? I keep calling her Jaguar Mama, so forgive me, but Jaguar Mama, what is she saying as a reminder for us all?
she's what I'm sensing from the Jaguar is speed, running fast and the speed. And the other thing that I'm sensing is 12 chiefs, listening to the 12 chiefs, listen to the elders. Do not be restrained by the consciousness of the retain. Listen to the wisdom of the elders and let it transform you.
Okay, we have two more Jaguars coming up, but we are going to bring in Don't Life Richard Geronimo at the end of it since you just said what you said, and that'll be extra fun. You're really good at this. Here's Jaguar crossing a stream or river. I'll call it flexibility. But here she is again. What are you getting from her now for all of us?
Move away from the constraints that bind you to false understanding. Move swiftly away, and then you will be able to understand.
Oh, and another home run. One more. Here's Jaguar putting it all together up in the tree, hanging out in repose. Beautiful shot. And a final message of hope, inspiration, or just allowing with a capital A for us all.
Here in the heights, you can dispel the myth of the physical illusion and attain to the frequencies of the light. It is there that the truth will become a part of you.
Marilyn, you're making me blush. This is so good. Okay, three chiefs as promised, unconditional love. You can call them spirit guides. They can see how to get from point A to B on anything. You have no limits. So this is basic listening, but yeah, it's scary to put yourself out there and be in your heart and listen. Good luck with that. Once a year, maybe twice a day, like a broken clock. But here's Dull Knife. You've met him before. Wisdom with some humor. I'm going to put his name up for 2 seconds. Dull Knife, actual historical figure, like a mountain range, but with a touch of humor. What are you getting from Dull Knife for us all? And if you don't mind catching one of those 60 sacred scents, cedar, pine, sage, sweetgrass, desert pinon, or the smell after the desert rain where you live in Arizona, that certain smell. Catch something
Oh,
sacred, and what are you getting first for a beautiful smell?
sweetgrass.
You're the best. You're invited back on. Okay. What's Dull Knife saying for us all in terms of what's coming before us? Ooh, we lost sound. So we're going to have to do something here. This is the second time today. If Marilyn can hear me, just nod. Okay, and say something for us.
When the time
You're
of
back. Awesome.
change,
Okay, say
when
it
the
again. Sorry.
time, when the time of change is coming, like a dull knife, you must proceed with patience, repetition, until you have cut through the dross of the falsehoods, the fears, and the lies. And once that has happened, you sit back and you wait for the Great Spirit to instruct you. The message of the dull knife is repetition and patience. Do not push things too quickly. Wait.
I have red shirt next. Gentlest mom in the world, not a manly description, but he's compassion, compassion, compassion. Wearing a U.S. presidential medal. I think it was President Teddy Roosevelt who gave it to him the day after the photo was taken. He and Geronimo, horseback, Pennsylvania Ave, a parade. Nevertheless, red shirt, so soft and gentle. Just always has the gentlest touch with his words.
Mm. He's an interesting energy. He says, we went through the demise of our people. What he's saying is different. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to describe, because he's not saying words. He's making me feel something. What he's having me feel is that what they went through was similar to the times that we face now, which is the time when a civilization is at its end. When a civilization comes to an end, or might come to an end, you have to have a very gentle, patient touch and be ready to respond to the direction of the spirit, because every human being will be being given instructions, individual instructions for the rebuilding of what is to come. But there's no way that you can see that now, just as they could not see that. All they could see was the destruction of the world that they knew. He had to understand and experience a surrender that was unlike a surrender, not in a military sense, a surrender of spirit to a defeat, a watching of his civilization dying, and recognizing that there was no coming back from that, but that they were going to have to respond to the spirit in moving forward, because God always has a plan. And so each of us must do the same, because the uncertainties that we will face will have some similarities. And each of us will be given very specific and individual direction. And we need to understand the importance of all of those individual directions. Try to place yourself back in his time and recognize how deeply impactful every single person who responded to the promptings of the Holy Spirit at that time, when the new direction for what the native peoples would become was being formed. And it was so unclear, and it's still unclear. But each person, not just in relation to the native peoples, but in terms of the way that the United States, the way that the country, and the way that the spiritual was being forged. There was things happening all around the world, but they were all linked. whether it was the emergence of Abdul Baha in the Baha'i faith in the early 1900s. It was trying to unite religions around the world. And other religious organizations, Theosophists, Rosicrucians, other world religions that were trying to create something new that was being brought to them to do. But there were things happening all over, and there were people being inspired in terms of actual society building and other completely different things that were not spiritual, but were part of what was coming into being. It's all related.
Before I put up Geronimo, older Geronimo's photo, it's wonderful. Oh my goodness. I mean, yeah, he's like a big tiger, but he's also like a kitten here. It depends which version you get. But if you're in your heart, I think you're going to be okay. He's like everyone's missing uncle who's back. Great advice. He's very direct, very not formal, proper like the prior two. Yes, no. He's like, yeah, nah, duh. You already know the answer. He's very like a lightning bolt. I'm going to light a little sage. I'm going to blow through the microphone. If you could catch a lot of a Native American gusto, wind in the room, he's going to come in. He may already be coming in right now. I'll show the photo in just a second. Let me light a little bit of sage. I don't think we did this on air. If we did, I apologize. I forget to do this half the time. Um, we at least did this twice before the show. We've done it before, no big deal. But if you don't know what's going on, I'm lighting sage. Doesn't matter if you're in Christchurch, Berlin, Tokyo, or Mumbai. You can catch sage as well through two screens, but just view it as the universe, no time and space. Here's a red-tailed hawk feather, an Albany, no, abalone shade, sage, shell, and sage. If you could just say when you're getting the sage, Marilyn, did you already get it 30 seconds
Mhm.
ago? Okay. Get something else that's sacred, private to you. And if we could have White Buffalo Calf Woman come in addition to Geronimo, she'll add something at the end with your permission and with her permission. She's wonderful. Don't tick her off. She's tough if she needs to be. But here's Geronimo, and let me get the one photo up for everyone. People, you can put your hand out and feel his vibe. What else? Ask for your own smell. Hear his voice come right in. And then Marilyn, if you could, what's he have to add to the discourse? And get a big hug from him and something sweet and personal. You've really shared so much with us today. And just say, got it when you got something personal.
Got it.
Good, 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 good. Might as well have fun along the way, even though the world may be falling apart. It's all good. What's Geronimo have for all of us?
What I sense with Geronimo is just a lot of presence, a
Hmm.
lot of quiet, a lot of being present in silence, and being prepared for the alterations and the times, the work that has to be done in the spirit world, as the times come that we must face.
Well, if it's a game show, you've just heard the ding, 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 ding. We've got one more. We've already talked about the figure. It's on the wall over my shoulder. Durga potentially, but we'll just tiger from India, deity like the ride below the Divine Mother. You'll see her sitting on the tiger's back. He's action on everyone's team, or I should say the tiger. I'm not going to assign a gender here. But if anybody is really gung ho right now, you can put your hand out and feel soft shampooed fur. Get a lick if you're really crazy, crazy. Here's the photo up close. Get something private and personal, say got it. And then this, again, this tiger's on everyone's team. Pure action. And again, if you want to see the tiger, I believe Sri Shirdi Sai Baba, when he was supposed to be doing homework, the dad went upstairs to check him out and make sure he was not doing too much meditation. That's when the dad got shocked and saw the tiger. I think he was going to give a little bit of a whipping or beating to poor Sri Shirdi Sai Baba as a teenager, maybe. And the tiger showed up. The dad never touched him again. Blah, blah, blah. So goes the story. Um, First, catch India coming in. The highest vibrational part of India is 40 different countries mixed into one. Catch the highest vibration from India, maybe the jungle smell or the voices or the of nature, or those musical chime-like things that are on the temples that make the music in the wind, and the smells again, maybe an additional exotic incense, and even see a symbol if it's Sanskrit, Telugu, Hindi, something sacred that has relevance and meaning to you. You don't have to share it out loud, but just say got it when you got it.
Got it.
Oh, beautiful. And then, if you don't mind, Tiger's reminder for us all. But I'm going to add, how do we say yes to the universe, yes to love, to show love always, to be in our heart more? We don't have to know the road specifically. How can we trust that we're getting the help we need when we need it? I hope I used good words here. What's the message for all of us? Chin up and stay the course.
Well, it's important to be aware of a daily type of practice. So whether, prayer, meditation, and times of silence, you know. And so, yes, and so you want to have a practice that you have every day, so that helps you to cultivate your practice, your daily practice, so you can feel like you are more in touch with your guidance, so to speak, on a daily basis. And it's always important to remember that um, God's love is always there for everyone. It's always there, even in your deepest, darkest moments, even when you don't feel it. And that, if the answers don't come to you immediately, that's okay. Um, because a lot of times the answer, and you're talking about Durga here, that Durga's answer is presence. Again, a lot of times in the spiritual world, in the response is a presence. It is a presence of a divine, holy, powerful being. And we always want to assign words to it. We want to assign a message. And a lot of times the message is the fact that they're present, their presence. And this, your story about Sri Shirdi Sai Baba's father is that the very presence of Durga was the message. He didn't need anything more than that to tell him, my son is being instructed. And remember, all the things that I've talked about many, many times before, we are instructed, and knowledge isn't information, it's energy and it's vibration, frequency. So when we're being instructed, when I spoke about my experience with the Buddha and wonderment, devotion, and humility, that was an energetic experience. Most of our experiences, there are times when we are instructed and we're given specific messages, and many times that happens. But a lot of times we will have these experiences where it is completely vibrational or frequency. And this is important to understand because knowledge is not information, it is vibration and frequency. So as our vibration and frequency are raised, our ability to understand heavenly wisdoms is heightened. And that is how it works. It's a little more complex than that, but that's close enough, right? And but so it's important to realize that. So sometimes when you are struggling, even if you don't have like a direct answer, just choosing to place yourself in the presence of prayer and in the presence of whoever you place yourself in the presence of, whether it's Christ, whether it's Buddha, whatever your particular practice may be, is going to be profoundly helpful to you because those beings have a vibration, and just choosing to place yourself in that presence, even when you can't necessarily feel it, that's going to help. It's a start, and you start from there, right?
Again, wonderful. I want to make sure we're going to have you back on to talk more galactic figures and stuff like that. But can we
Mhm.
have one galactic figure, if it's a huge crew, angels, Mary, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and so on, hundreds of figures. Um, it's like a bingo contest, or somebody's like, I won the arm wrestling contest. Which galactic figure wants to show up right now? Could be a light being, there's an Andromedan, Pleiadian. You've traveled a lot. You've seen a lot. Who's saying me? And I'll mention a couple more figures. The woman from Sirius, green flowing outfit. Um, Andromedan woman, Orion woman, Illyrian. Who's saying pick me or me that has a final message for us from that quadrant?
Well, I'll just go with, since we mentioned the Holy Mother, I had the amazing experience of witnessing her arriving here in a Pleiadian ship. And she came down from the Pleiadian ship wearing an amazing purple and white gown with a golden crown. They call her the Lady in Light in the Pleiades. And apparently, I was also shown later that Jesus also comes from there. And the message of the Pleiades has to do with uh, oneness and unconditional love, but it also has to do with the seven tones of life, which has to do with the seven stars of the Pleiades. And so I write a lot about that, but each of the seven tones of life is a sequential frequency of, light and life that takes your soul into a higher and higher frequency. And it's also an understanding that it has to do with oneness, love, and, going into higher and higher understandings of it. And it is a tone. It is also a tone. And it resonates from these seven stars of the Pleiades as well. And so the Pleiadian system is one. A lot of these beings that are from these other star systems operate in interdimensional ways. And so they don't necessarily have a physical existence like we understand it on those planets. And so a lot of this you'll see, it's very fascinating because they have these interdimensional existences in these places. We have this on Venus with the CC Marauders. Uh, we have it on Mars with this great angelic hierarchy that is there. Um, but there's all kinds of this. It's all over the place. And so um, that's one thing that's important to understand is that a lot of the extraterrestrials are working interdimensionally rather than physically. And so that's important. There are physical extraterrestrials as well, but they're not all like that.
Yeah, they're not as much fun. We'll put it that way. For the Pleiadians, like I've got a Heinrich Eric A. His real name's many more syllables than that, but that's the best approximation. He said use it. I'm going to put up Red Shirt to be our ambassador for Pleiadians. Can we get a mantra from the Pleiadian crowd to just, if we said it a lot, we might be in our presence a lot more. Here's Red Shirt. If you don't mind putting a hand up to connect to Red Shirt. And we're going loosey-goosey, like we're in third grade and the teachers come up with a really good exercise. We have no clue what it is, but we're gonna have fun with it. Let Redshirt be your ambassador. You're already highly connected to galactic figures, but the Pleiadians can come in, and then if you don't mind, what's their simplest reminder for us all as almost like a mantra? And if you don't mind getting a lot of hugs, get something private, get a compliment, why not while you're there at the well, take a sip. A little more love for all of us in the audience. Great time to put an emoji down, type something that you've related to, what's been your favorite part so far, share this with someone. It's the way these videos get out. And we're almost at 3,000 subscribers after 3 years and 3 or 4 months. Two more subscriptions, we hit the 3,000. I do a screenshot, I put it up on the website. Yeah, stats don't define us, but it helps. It's fun along the way. All right, Marilyn, I bought you as much time as I could. What'd you get from the Pleiadians as a reminder for us all? And these things can't be rushed. So obviously, we'd want to go 20 minutes and we'll take a little more time. I'll read my favorite quote from Angels. Sometimes the person next to you or a stranger just needs validation via love and compassion. A smile changes any moment. So too does laughter or a few kind words. Be compassion to all. Do it.
Yes, I mean, we are all one. We are one not only with each other here, but we are one with all of these other races and existences elsewhere. Um, take a little walk in the movement today. When you're taking a walk in the movement, you are jumping into the river that flows, the ether that flows in the spiritual realms, and you're choosing to jump in and become a part of that movement that literally is the spiritual movement that literally fuels worlds and fuels life itself. So take a little walk in the movement today, jump in the river, and decide to energize the spiritual life within yourself and within others as much as you're able, and go towards life. Be willing to undergo that process, even when it's tough.
And Marilyn, we have you listening so carefully, do you mind getting extra love for yourself personally? What do they want us to know about you, how you're extra shiny, and how much they appreciate you? This is the first time I've ever done it this way on the show, 500 tapings, but you're there. And if they're probably not giggling, but nodding in loving support, you're getting something beautiful. I'd love for you to get the emotional with it and the vibration up and down your Hindu chakras on your back, the Kundalini Express up and down that big spine of yours that's just whoop, you're getting whooshed. But if you don't mind getting a few kind words, it's all about you. So we're kind of throwing you under the love bus too, but it's love. And they're giving you a big compliment. What are you getting that you can share with us? They'll give you the PR version if you wish.
No, I don't know. I mean,
Oh, okay. I'm gonna read a passage from Listening to Angels. It hit #1 twice in Angels last year in 2025, thanks to being on Coast to Coast twice. So it was their doing, really. Thank you. But the point of this is it's a passage of collective angels, and then I'd love to get your reaction and then take us anywhere you will before you close us out. This is
okay.
the appendix of this little 15-minute read. If anyone thinks I wrote any of this, you're crazy. I just saw balls of light and typed. But here it is in the appendix. What's up with mankind? Why angels now? Awareness for mankind is on the horizon. Call it a spiritual awakening if you wish. It's a chance for all to grow. Mankind is ready for more unconditional love and compassion for all. and more compassion by all, for all is needed. Mankind's ready for change from rat race mode. Happiness is obtained in the absence of ego. Ego is afraid to be vulnerable, to let go, and to be in the unknown. Again, there's nothing to lose and nothing to gain. Move past seeing the negative. Compassion can be taught through one's actions. How? Slowing down would do a world of wonder for most people. Doing it consistently is where the problems and opportunities lie. So stay present. What she was just saying a second ago. Start right now. Letting go means less thinking. Do not get lost in perceived tasks, roles, ego, etc. Being in the moment is to do compassion for all. What say you, Marilyn? Were
Well,
you
I
just
think,
bathing in that? And that we will get a
yes.
reaction. That's okay. I'm going to tell a dad joke. And then, with your permission, I'd love to get a spontaneous, you've never used it before, mantra from you that you just are getting. We're going to blame the Lyrans, the Andromedans, the Orions, light beings. Someone's going to step in and be a little voice going to come in. But here's your dad joke to clear the decks. Where in a hospital is the worst place to play hide and seek? Where in a hospital? In the ICU. Okay, have a little voice come in if you need. If people off camera, you're in the audience, you're watching it in your own convenience. It's 2030. Hopefully YouTube's still on then. Put your hands out, close your eyes, you'll hear a little voice come in. It might sound like your voice at first. Breathe a little more, relax a little more. You'll hear it strongly and get the flavor of whoever the personality is. Hopefully love and above only. Marilyn, what are you getting for a simple reminder that even you are like, because you're like the maestro here, ton of books, ton of knowledge, ton of experience, ton of experience. What's the littlest thing coming in right now that even you are like, oh my God, good one, touche. And tell us who is stepping up. Is it Jesus coming in? Is it Pleiadians? Is it Andromedans? That one group over there?
No, I don't really have anything coming to me right now.
That's okay. With your permission, one final interactive act. I'm going to whoosh. The microphone's down here. I'm going to blow as well. We're going to blame angels, the galactic crew. See if you can catch a little bit of sparkle, wind, whatever glitter in the room. If it settles and you have a rug below you, you won't need Stanley steamers, carpet cleaners to get it out. It'll go away within a day. And at home, if you need to do the hokey pokey, get up and do the chubby checker, Elvis, anything that makes you laugh. If you really want to push this to the limits, you're at the supermarket in front of the vegetables or the fruits. Do the chubby checker in person with people watching you. Get them laughing so you don't care. You're in your heart. And then you've let go. I mean, that's the best time to listen to an angel when you've let go. Shower, singing, I don't know how to say the right way, Acapulco. You sing rawly in the shower in a great Italian opera voice. It's not, most of us can't do that. So here it goes. I'm going to whoosh and push a little bit of love and light. Let your favorite loving beings come in and do the real work. They're doing the pushing here. But are you ready, Marilyn, for a little bit of love? And then we are going to have you close this out. You've done a gajillion shows, a gajillion books, and yeah, I'd love for you to share with us a final inspirational message. We'll have you back anytime you want. Here comes the first whoosh. Did you feel a little love, sparkle, something?
Mhm.
Oh, yay, good. And any words you want to use for it?
I think simplicity is what comes through is just, don't overthink it. Just, live your life, um, but bring the spirit into every aspect of your life. Realize that your physical life is a spiritual journey. And without the spiritual part being brought in, we do waste our time. We are wasting a lot of time, and we come into this world um, for a reason. And we don't want to cross over and be like, oh man, I did it again. I ignored the purpose of my incarnation. So live your life, make it simple, don't make it complicated, but make make a point to bring the spiritual into every aspect of your life and understand that that process, that spiritualizing process, the path of purification is really important because that is really the part of your life that has to do with why you came here.
Oh my God. Marilynn Hughes, Joe DiMaggio, Hank Aaron, name somebody else from baseball. You've been a Louisville like slugger today. That was an incredible, we're going to call that a close. And wow. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show, for sharing so much with us. People can check out her website. The details will be below the video. And you're wonderful. And thank you again for today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael.